Welcome to the pipeline, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the pipeline, everybody. Running a little bit behind schedule, but we back on track. Let's get into the untold truth. I'm going to let y'all get a moment, get on in here. If you in here, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and also hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. So every time I drop, you'll be the first one to get it. Hey, big homie, how are you? I'm all right. How you doing today? Thank y'all for coming into the Untold Truth. I've been, let me tell y'all know, justice for Courtney, number one, rest in peace. Courtney Bruce, a.k.a. Boog the Bandit. Justice for Boog, y'all. So y'all know I've been on the hunt, having the Lord Jesus Christ in my heart today. That's what's up. That's what's up. So y'all know I've been on the hunt for some actual footage of Courtney besides her music videos. I have asked people if y'all could help and reach out and try to get me some footage of her if you could. I got in touch with a couple people. They sent me some photos. I've also got a couple ciphers of hers, and there's more stuff that I want to put together, but I just can't put it together all in this one video because some of the photos that another photographer, shout out to him, sent me some unseen photos of Courtney. So I am going to get to a point where I can show y'all that at another time. But as of right now, it came in too late for me to run the visuals and everything the way I wanted to run it today for this particular Untold Truth. So I'm going to let y'all catch this. Shout out to all the artists in Columbus. Shout out to y'all because I was watching those Columbus ciphers. When I tell y'all it's so much talent in Columbus, so many people I didn't know or heard of, I'm familiar with them now. So many talented female artists, and it's a lot of talented young men and older guys that was in the ciphers that I think is pretty dope. So I'm going to let y'all get a taste of one that I found with Courtney in it. Hey, Khalid. Hey, Khalid. Shout out to Khalid. The pipeline is in love with Khalid. They was like, oh, we seen him. Is he single? Is he married? He's so fine. They follow him on Instagram. Shout out to Khalid for accepting the pipeline on his IG. I don't know if he married or not, y'all. I'm not going to push that, but y'all going to have to find out on y'all own. They keep asking me about Khalid. I'm like, I don't know him. I don't know, shoot your shot. I don't know if he married. I don't know. But let's get into this cipher.
This is chasing clout, nigga, we forever on. I ain't never seen a drought. Yeah, I got the 50 on me, nigga, gotta shout. I'm in first place, nigga, ain't no one.
There go Courtney with the jersey on.
We gon' put them on a bus. And I already told y'all niggas, y'all can't fuck with us. Two glizzies with both of them, did it and make you double dutch. Ain't been rapping, I've been in the...
I don't know if y'all could see Courtney. There she is here with the jersey and the jeans and the ponytail and the glasses.
I'm running this money up, don't do cap and you ain't getting money, y'all need to give it up. My drip cost spent 1,500, I'm finna fuck him up. I sit post producing my 20, fucking my stomach.
I stay in my own lane, I stay out the way, and with the drama, but don't make no mistake. I keep some hitters and they ride with a K. For pussy, play me some, I'm gon' die today. I hit the wood and then the bitch fly away. Hey, okay, jewelry yellow gold, just like Pikachu. Act up in my brother like the chocolate, take a peek at you. Got your nigga head between my legs, playing peek.
Hey, y'all, well, listen, hold on, y'all. When I seen Boog dancing, I'm like, get it, Boog, get it. Hey, she do the same dances that she did in, was it Risky or Hardaway? It's the same dance. I'm like, that's Boog's signature dance. Let's go.
Boog, you gon' shake something and pop it, bitch, cause I got things to do.
Hey, I know a lot about that blue cheese, I'll show you how to get it. Sat in a trap so I can show you how to whip it. The chopper turn the tallest nigga in here to a midget. When we do it big, cause that's the only way we living. Hold on, I ain't tripping on no shit that don't involve me. Exotic packs so all my niggas look like small trees. Back to call this bitch around and sell her all dreams. Cut the slimy niggas off, I be with all
fiends. I do things, I don't have no mood swings. Fight moves like Jack Chan, chopper kick like Liu Kang. Pull up in that Bruce Wayne, fresher than some toupees. Hit a niggas toupee, big was bitch I'm toupee. Niggas wanna play around, I don't play no recess. Squeezing like a P-test, stretching like a...
YouTube rules, y'all. Sometimes I gotta stop it for a minute, let it go. Shout out to K Productions. Shout out to K Productions.
V-neck, diamonds don't need retest. Rougher than a T-Rex. Shooters, that's not he next. Draco bust, not he blessed. Ha.
I got insurance on the whip, but I ain't got no license. Let a rap bitch try it and she dying. Box her, I like Tyson. Let me find out that these niggas lying. Leave them in the crisis. Pussy nigga with these tone rifles, nigga, we ain't fighting. And we'll walk a bitch down like she getting married. Bitches fucked up in the crib and them niggas scammy. I just put a phone with my easy, think they tryna hand me. All my niggas really was that they play. No Tommy Jerry.
Hey, niggas keep
Hey.
Hey, I been in the trap, I pick that shit up, get bucks. That's your little bitch like she won't get fucked. Take what? I ain't never ever had my shit took. Hey, bitch, I'm in the
They
trap.
snapping, y'all. Ain't they snapping?
One zip to a whistle song. Hey, need a bad bitch just like me alone. She ain't tryna suck no dick that she can leave me alone. I been tryna chase her bag while these niggas out here chasing hoes. Whacking nigga, then I hit the crib and then I'm changing clothes. They say I'm the hardest at this shit.
Hold on, y'all. Listen, y'all see Boog, man. She's so chill. Like, Boog was the coolest chick ever. Look at her little drip, her little swag. She just like, look, I know my time coming. She just on her chill shit. She already knew who she was. Coolest chick ever.
The pros, call the plug and then I hit the road. RP my niggas, this on braid and I'ma get you gone. This off the dome, this a Cypher, this is not a song. Niggas say they solid, hit that jam and then that nigga told. Bitch, I'm 10 toes with my niggas even when
Bounce
alone.
out the cut with them racks, I got the jack, I ain't a silly rabbit. Fuck on the bro, bitch, I can't get into that. And all my numbers punch, fuck a cut, bitch, I'm locked in. Soldier Bucko on the block, bitch, don't get bucks in. We don't leave them in the car, we bring the Glocks in. I was in the fast, busting heads for some bucks. With a Kelly at the bank, I can't show my face. I took the pics on them, man, yeah, I did the race.
Hey. Let me run it back. Y'all want me to run it back one more time? We gotta hear Boog one more time, y'all. One more time.
Whipping up a zip to a whistle song. Hey, need a bad bitch just like me alone. She ain't tryna suck no dick that she can leave me alone. I've been trying to chase her back.
They all talented, y'all. All of them is
Hit
talented.
the crib and then I'm changing clothes. They say I'm the hardest at this shit cause I be switching flows. Only want the pros, call the plug and then I hit the road. RP my niggas, this on braid and I'ma get you gone. And it's off the dome, this a Cypher, this is not a song. Niggas say they solid, hit that jam and then that nigga told. Bitch, I'm 10 toes with my niggas even when
Bounce out
alone.
the cut with them racks, I got the jack, I ain't a silly rabbit. Fuck on the bro, bitch, I can't get into that. And all my numbers punch, fuck a cut, bitch, I'm locked in. Soldier Bucko on the block, bitch, don't get bucks in. We don't leave them in the car, we bring the Glocks in. I was in the fast, busting heads for some bucks. With a Kelly at the bank, I can't show my face. I took the pics on them, man, yeah, I did the race.
That's what's up, y'all. That's what's up. 1 second. Let me go to another part. I heard that. I'm like, that's what's up. That's what's up. So I've been looking for footage, as y'all know. Hold on 1 second. Hold on.
Don't forget September 14th, where tomorrow.
I've been looking for footage for a long time because I don't want to let y'all see the. I've been looking for footage for a long time, so I'm like, can somebody please send me some footages of Courtney without me really having to really dig so much, but it was so much about Courtney, and so many people had love for Courtney, so many people. So today, as I bring y'all the untold truth, as y'all know, a lot of my stuff, I don't write things down. I do everything straight off the top of the dome. So today, when we walk into the untold truth, part 2, a lot of this stuff is going to be allegedly. Some of it is going to be facts, and some of it is going to be a thought or possibilities to what the masses feel or believe could have happened in Courtney's case. So I thought about it all week, which way I'm going to start the untold truth out, which way I want to go, how I want to start out. I'm completely just off the week that I've had. I don't think it's only right. I think it's only right to go straight off the dome as we walk down what happened to Courtney. So we all know the story and the possibilities that could have happened, right? When we first got the story, when it broke, I don't know where y'all was at in y'all life, but for me, when I first found out that Courtney passed, I was just walking into my house after a regular day, turn onto YouTube and just see it on my YouTube, like Columbus, Ohio artist Boog the Bandit was murdered today. I couldn't believe it. Like, I did a live. As soon as I found out, I did a live. I think I was on my live actually with tears in my eyes because Boog was so important and Boog was bigger than what maybe people from down south who wasn't familiar with Courtney and what she meant. But for Midwest and for Ohio and Midwest period, for her to be a female, a lot of people believed in Courtney. We knew she was going to be the face of Midwest far as females. Another thing we loved about Courtney, she was not a twerk rapper. Courtney was a conscious pop star, right? And rapper, wrote a lot of her own music. I would say she wrote all her music. I've never seen nobody saying they wrote music for her. I believe she wrote all of her music on her own. So we knew Courtney was going to change not only the sound for the women, but also, like I said, create a bigger legacy for other female artists that was coming behind her. She was going to open the door, not just for the music, but for the modeling, film. She did a lot of different things that she could have took a lot of people with her and opened up a lot of doors for Midwest with her being a female, even at her age. So the people who really not familiar with Courtney's story, I'm glad they came to the pipeline and could share her moments with us and also learn about a little bit more about who she was. So when I found out, the world found out that Courtney passed, it hit hard. It hit hard. It hit really, really hard for Midwest. I mean, everywhere you would look, if you would Google her name or YouTube her name, Instagram, people knew who she was worldwide. It wasn't that she wasn't known. Boog had already arrived. When they say up and coming, she was already up and she had already came. She had already arrived. So she was bigger to us than people may know. She most definitely is a young legend, and everything that she did was legendary. So when the story broke, Columbus artist Boog the Bandit lost her life over attempted robbery. I don't see why the news labeled it as attempted robbery when it was clearly a robbery that took place. It was a robbery that took place. We heard a lot of different stories about what could have happened, but with the pipeline, we found out what could have happened and what possibly could have happened. I don't think we too far off from what we all knew what happened or probably figured what happened. So let's get into this story. So it was 3 people I wanted to talk about today before we go down the whole scenario on Dirt Place. We have to talk about Mr. Lockhart, because when I did my preview summary on there's another picture. I should have put that picture up. When we did the preview summary on earlier in the week on MJ, KB, and Mr. Lockhart, I said we're going to have to talk about Mr. Lockhart's role. I mean, we still are hurt. Everybody is still hurt. Everybody is still hurt behind Boog's story. People is not over it. I'm not over it. And I don't want to continue after this video to put no more information out until I could get more proof on evidence. And with Mr. Y'all, I'm so sorry. Mr. McIntyre, until Mr. McIntyre pretty much get captured, I think after today, I'm pretty much going to leave it where it's at for a while, just because I feel like there's nothing else that we pretty much could put with this story. So after I told y'all the change of events that happened with Mr. Lockhart, it's a lot of people who still feels as if Mr. Lockhart has something to do with it, and there's a big percentage of people who feel like Mr. Lockhart couldn't have had nothing to do with it. But if you really look at the actions of Mr. Lockhart, it leaves us all speechless. It does. And then with him not being in custody or a suspect, it leads us to wonder what could have happened. So we talked about the car situation. We know when Courtney left Miss Wanda's house on March 20th, we know that she was going to go do hair. We know that's what she said. That's what the world put out, that she was going to go do some hair. My condolences, Khalid. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the pipeline. we knew that she was going to go do hair. That's from what the story came about. Now, we also had the receipts come up and say she did not know who hair she was going to go do. So we go to the possibility of Mr. Williams. Could have been the person who they sent to set all of this up? Because all of this was a setup. Just like we said, the drug transaction story played a part, just like the whole chain situation with MJ could have played a part to get her out of the house. That's the part we still don't know. We don't know that part. But far as the story goes, that we know she left the house to go do this hair. Boog had 2 cars. She had the Caprice and she also had a black car. Well, the car that she drove to Mr. Lockhart's was the black car. She drove the black car. The pink and black car was never in the picture or questioned. I just always posted that picture of her by the car because we was always worried about the car theory. So shout out to Khalid to confirming for us that it was the black car that she was in when she drove to Mr. Lockhart's house. So, however, her and Mr. Lockhart gets in the vehicle, and Cameron's and Mr. Lockhart vehicles, they drive to Dork Place. When they get on Dork Place, that's when everything happened. So, let's go back to if she was coming out the house to go do some hair. With her not knowing Mr. Williams, I don't think she knew Mr. Williams or Mr. McIntyre. But it's some kind of connection with Mr. Kyson, MJ, Mr. Lockhart. It is some kind of connection within them 3. Now, could have been friends once upon a time? That's a possibility. But it still leave us with a lot of question marks onto why MJ allegedly was following Mr. Kyson on Instagram, even after Mr. Kyson was already picked up. So it has to be a connection there. Y'all saying ain't no connection there, y'all don't see it. It has to be. It has to be, because that whole part ain't making sense. Who follows they whole ex-girlfriend killer on Instagram? Who does that? That is just so weird. That is weird. So when she went to the house, Mr. Lockhart's house, what was the conversation that happened inside that house for them to go on Dork Place? Y'all seen how Dork Place looked. Courtney wasn't going on no Dork Place or been over there before. It was a reason why she was on Dork Place. I don't know from what Mr. Khalid is saying, that it was not a drug transaction. It was excuse me, y'all, I'm all over the place because I got to get my words right. I got to get my words right. The drug transaction was indeed Mr. Lockhart's. It was Mr. Lockhart's drug transaction. So that was the whole reason why they went on Dork Place, allegedly. Because when I started covering the story, a lot of people say, you missing it. Everybody in Columbus know it was a drug deal gone bad, right? Then was the stories that everybody was running with. And then it also was this chain theory that Boog was allegedly killed over these chains. It was trending all over Instagram. Everybody was saying drug deal or chains. That's pretty much what it was. So all these different stories, I said, it got to come from the hip. These 2 stories just isn't. A lot of the masses can't just be going with this story if it isn't any truth behind these stories. So as I started walking down the journey of discovering Boog and who she was, not discovering her, but going more in depth about her life and who she was, and then come across the information about these chains. This situation with these chains, with the ex, this been going on before Boog had passed, about this girl with these chains. Is it a possibility this young lady could have set something up? Because if she couldn't get the chain, she could have possibly wanted the money. Is Mr. Kyson and MJ connected to this behind these chains, where it was supposed to have been alleged robbery? Then when Boog didn't give it up, they shot, right? Because in the articles I read, after that, the police released said that Mr. Lockhart's testimony was multiple men started shooting. Other men started shooting. It didn't say multiple men. It said that the men started shooting. So if not all 3 of them, 2 of them was shooting. Two of them was shooting. So I'm like, okay, because that's kind of weird. Everything that went on, and then with the 911 caller from what she saw, I said, yeah, it's some stuff that still ain't coming together with this. It's only three people who possibly could have unlocked this back door, which we already know. We already know that. So she goes to Mr. Lockhart's house. She drives the black car to Mr. Lockhart's house. They get in the Mr. Lockhart's vehicle, and Mr. Lockhart drove over to do this alleged drug transaction over on Dork Place. Allegedly. This is the stories that I'm hearing. This is the stories that's coming back. When Mr. Lockhart went to allegedly do the drug transaction, something went left. But still, it puzzles me onto, it goes back to the ex, because she's still connected with Mr. Kyson. Was Mr. Kyson just the guy? Was he the fall guy, or was he part of the mastermind to help either the ex put this together, or what y'all say allegedly Mr. Lockhart put together? Because if you really think about when they drove on Dork Place, originally we heard it was a confrontation that took place. Could it been some about the drug transaction? Because I feel like from the research I've done, it don't seem like Mr. Lockhart was the intended target. It just don't. It seems like, even though we say he didn't get shot, he didn't get shot, he did get physical assaulted, and he did get robbed as well. But if you really look at the details, it don't seem like Mr. Lockhart could have played the part that we all may think he could have played, even with the whole taking her to the hospital thing. The lady, 911 was already on the way. From the 911 call that we received, that I played, the 911 dispatcher, they was already en route. He took her to the hospital and attempted to try to save her life, but from her family and everybody say Boog was already passed before before she even got to the hospital. This is allegedly, and this comes from family members who said this, which is this is their truth. This is their truth. So allegedly, Mr. Lockhart dropped Boog off at the hospital, and he left to drop something off. We don't know what that something is. Allegedly drugs, allegedly a gun. We don't know what that is. But the fact of the matter is, he did not stay with her. He didn't stay with her the way we thought. So people could say, y'all tell me like, well, you act like people don't got warrants. You act like it's not normal for people to live. I could see it from both sides. Because in a way, I can understand, how could you leave the person that you love? How could you leave the person that you love, right? But I also understand how when people are criminals, the decisions that they make to also try to not cover up their tracks necessarily, but to prevent getting caught with the drugs and doing jail time. So he dropped this stuff off and he came back to the hospital. That's what Mr. Khalif said, Boog's brother. So I'm not going to argue with him. That is his sister. He is part of the family. He know the truth. He knows the facts. So Mr. Lockhart did come back to the hospital. And after that, I guess he did talk to the police and went down there and gave his statement and whatnot. So regardless of how we may feel of the people who could have played a part, MJ, Mr. KB, and Mr. Lockhart, allegedly, these are the people that the masses say could have set this thing up. Either one of them is in custody. So I just can't come and just bury MJ and bury KB and bury Mr. Lockhart when the police know more information than we all may know, and they not in custody. They not in custody. But one thing that we do know from having common sense, one of them opened up this back door. I'm not sure who opened up the back door, but if you look at all the characters that's involved, everybody could have had a motive except for to meet Mr. Lockhart, because what motive would he have to get the chains? What would be his motive to set her up for money? It's like, what possibly link do y'all put together with Mr. Lockhart possibly could have something to do with this? Is it because he didn't get shot? He didn't get shot. And keep in mind, he's not in custody or a suspect. But just because he's not that now, don't mean he may not go later. Just like MJ. And MJ is a beautiful young woman on the outside. But on the inside, that little girl is wicked and has a lot of anger issues inside of that young girl. Whatever happened between her and Courtney, it seemed like she was out to get Boog for some reason. All over this story, from the first day it broke, you hear about the ex-girlfriend with these chains. That's all I ever heard for all these months. Every time somebody mentioned a girlfriend, it is always about these damn chains. And then you hear about the constant disrespect throughout the months with the ex-girlfriend. Why are you so bitter, and could have possibly been the motive between her and Mr. Kyson? Because everybody say allegedly Mr. Lockhart has something to do with this. But if he did, I'm just saying, if he did work with the other brothers, with the other three, why they didn't roll over on Cam yet? Because if they all telling on each other and Mr. Lockhart has something to do with it, and they know that he's still out, why not roll over on Mr. Lockhart too? Like, who is Mr. Lockhart to be for everybody to be scared to turn him in or whatever? What would be so hard about if he has something to do with it, them telling on him? They have all been real close friends, Mr. Kyson, Mr. Williams, and Mr. McIntyre. If they all have broken each other's brotherly oath and have all crossed each other as friends, why not roll over on Cam too if he had something to do with this allegedly? Will Kyson come out and speak on something maybe with him and MJ? That's why I said, is they cousins? Did they have a relationship? Was he hired? Because this was not something that just took place on Dirt Plays and they just walked over and they just rode over there and all this stuff happened. No. This was all set up and this was planned, like I tell y'all many other times. I think it's weird that Mr. Lockhart didn't stay with her at the hospital. I think that is. But if he left and came back, which is suspicious, I'm not going to say that. That's very suspicious. But he did come back and he did give a statement. And he's not in custody. Mr. McIntyre is still on the run. It took all of these people to get this thing done to Courtney, and she did not deserve none of this. Courtney was a great person, a beautiful person. She changed her life around for the better. And covering her story, I think Boog has inspired us all to be great and do great. She mastered this thing called life at a young age. She was only doing music, just like I said with King Von, for instance. Courtney was only doing music for a few years and bust the door straight open. It's artists who go through this journey to reach the peak of success that she had reached their whole life and never could break into it on many different levels. Boog was already connected and already had industry ties before she even got into the music. She almost made it out because she did make it. She made it. In our eyes, for her success and building and coming from where she came from, and all of our, everybody have their stories, their stories to success or their stories to the top. She achieved so much that a lot of us will never ever be able to achieve, even being younger, the age that she is. And just imagine if she was to live and still continue to live now, in 10 years, it'd be amazing the stuff we would have seen her do. It would have been amazing. And when she would have reached those points, we would have all seen it coming. Because if you followed her or you knew her personally, everybody knew how hard Courtney worked. Mr. Lockhart knew that. Them boys around there, them assailants, the ex-girlfriend, everybody knew who she was. They knew who she was and maybe envied that to a certain degree, where they had to set this whole plan up to take her out. Because, as I tell y'all all the time, when we talk about these backdoor stories and these backdoor plays, Only people who gonna open them back doors is the people that's closest to you. And look at all the people allegedly who could have done this, the part and how close they was to her. She was crossed by a lot of people that she loved. She was crossed. So when we talk about the whole car thing with Mr. Lockhart, I think that's weird after he talked to the police to go move the car to some apartment complexes. Whatever that motive was, so people say, like somebody emailed me and was like, well, maybe Mr. Lockhart moved the car because he jumped into a getaway car, another car. I said, well, that's obvious because if he dropped the car off there, he had to have somebody follow him or have somebody else out there with him in the car. But what could have been the reason? Is it a reason where he hid the car thinking he was protecting himself or protecting the car from getting robbed or protecting his household where people wouldn't know where he lived at? Like it could be a lot of different ways, but moving that car most definitely is suspicious. But the police is all over this case, y'all. The police ain't about to let nothing like that slip through their fingers if they feel like he didn't have nothing to do with it. He didn't have nothing to do with it. Columbus police do not have Mr. Lockhart in custody. They don't even consider him a suspect. So I'm not just going to say I'm a crucify Khalid. The police told us from the info on their phone, they've been planning it, and after some months, set up. Yeah. This most definitely was a setup, Khalid. I always believe that. I believe it's one of them three people. It came from people that she know. Boog would not have been on Dork Place. Y'all seen how Dork Place looked? She wouldn't even have been over there. That's why she didn't want to drive her car over there. She was like, you know what? I'm gonna go over Mr. Lockhart's house. Whether she called Mr. Lockhart or Mr. Lockhart had called her. That's why I'm like, how he ain't locked up. He set it up. That's Khalid. If they assume it's a setup, he got something to do with it. Oh, it's an investigation going on. And who knows if they leaving Mr. Lockhart out to think that may be ties to get Mr. McIntyre. This is still an investigation. Them people still is 2 steps ahead of us. But the people who came into this story, like Mr. KB. Mr. KB was a flat out snake. Flat out snake. That's why, and when I first y'all started covering this, I told you I got a lot of emails from people saying they kept telling Courtney, watch the people that's around her. Watch the people, because people, maybe Courtney had love for these people or maybe wanted to help these people out or what, but people kept saying the people, not all the people she was hanging around, but I don't know if this was her everyday crew or what, but people would say that when they would see her or reach out to her on social media, they'd just be like, hey, watch your surroundings, watch the people, because they said people looked at weird around her. Maybe she was doing business with them people. We don't know. But what we do know is that Courtney is a young legend, and we have to put some respect on her name and her story. She was not a regular person. As small as she was, that little girl, she packed some power. With her actions and the moves that she bust, she packed some power. She didn't have to speak much. She didn't have to be loud. Her presence spoke volumes. I mean, we just watched it on the Cypher. We watched it on the Cypher. She was one of the smallest ones out there, but look how much you could feel through the video, the energy. People respected Courtney and loved Courtney, and nobody wouldn't just intentionally do harm to her unless it was a plot or some kind of envy or jealous, because Boog wasn't checking for nobody. She was trying to take care of her family and make it out of Columbus. She was almost there. Her hand was on the doorknob. She was about to walk straight up out of there. Somebody knew that, and somebody did not want to lose access to her, because the way she was going, she was already cutting people off. She already was seeing through the smoke and mirrors with people like, you know what, I ain't trusting people like that. She cut MJ off. MJ was on bullshit. KB got on bullshit. Maybe the only trust at that point that she had considered of a friend was Mr. Lockhart. And that's why a lot of people feel like Mr. Lockhart has something to do with this. But I also have people emailing me saying, hey, they was like brothers and sisters. You don't know Mr. Lockhart. I said, listen, I'm just giving my content off of the masses and what the streets is saying. We already knew that Mr. Lockhart was going to be a suspect to the streets because he was the last one with her. Right off the rip. Soon as the story broke, we thought, oh yeah, he set her up. And then when we hear that he didn't get shot or nothing like that, we like, oh yeah, he most definitely has something to do with it. Columbus police did not lock Mr. Lockhart up. He ain't like Mr. Damon lock him up. Then he go to the hospital and leaves her. So we still like, man, hold on, what the is going on? But obviously, Mr. Lockhart knows something that he ain't telling nobody, and only the police knows because he's not in custody. Y'all think they didn't backtrack his steps with the cars and this and that and the other? I'm not here to just say. I think it's multiple people involved. Honestly, if people say Mr. Lockhart is allegedly connected to this, that is their opinion. But I feel like it's other people who not in jail that I feel like also played a part. That's why I keep putting the different scenarios out there, because it took, like I said, more than one person to pull this off. It took more than one person to pull this off. Boog was a threat and she was a force to be reckoned with. And they knew that because, like I tell y'all all the time, all of these players involved knew who she was. It wasn't nobody out there who didn't know who she was. Just like it was people out there on Dork Place. It was people out there. If the 911 caller called 911 and they saying it ain't no witnesses and this and that and the other, then the 911 caller say, she heard Courtney say, somebody called 911, they just shot me. Who is somebody else? Who could Courtney possibly could have been talking to? She wasn't talking to the assailants, and she couldn't have been talking to Mr. Lockhart. So who else could have been talking to if she didn't see people out there? I think people on Dork Places came out. I believe they have said what they saw, and I also believe that's why the momentum in this case has picked up the way that it has picked up, because people are talking now. People are talking now. Mr. McIntyre not about to be on the run for too much longer. They getting through it. They getting straight to it and they getting through it. So like I said, just because people is not in jail right now, don't mean that they may not be going down the line. This is still an open investigation, and the police is constantly staying in contact with the Bruce family, telling them what's going on. Somebody emailed me and said, do you think Mr. Lockhart is in witness protection? I mean, if he in West V, allegedly, from what they say, Mr. Lockhart is in West V, I mean, I could see him being in witness protection. I can, because it's a lot of death threats on that young man. It's a lot of death threats. It's a lot of people that want to whack Mr. Lockhart behind Courtney. He didn't have no choice but to leave. Is it a possibility he's in witness protection? I believe so, because he still has to stay around for the trial. He is a witness to the case, so he has to go and testify. He has to. They're going to subpoena him because he was a witness. And also he was assaulted as well. And that's why I say this story is so tragic, because like I say, there's nobody wins in this story. These mothers of these young men, of the assailants, they have to go through the fight of losing their son to the system. The Bruce family has to go through grieving and getting justice for their daughters. Mr. McIntyre's family probably nerves is through the roof, because his mother and family is probably praying nobody won't hurt him or kill him or do something bad to him before the police get to him. Nobody wins in this story. Everybody is affected. And these are the actions that I need people to pay attention to, because when people go out and do these murders and these heinous crimes, they affect more people's lives than just the people who they're actually doing the assault to or the crime to. Many families get affected by these tragedies. Many families. It's a lot of losses in this case, in this story. It's sad what happened to Boog. It's unfortunate what happened to her. And if the city of Columbus would have locked, Columbus police, if they would have locked up Mr. Kyson, Mr. McIntyre, and Mr. Williams up a year and a half ago, 6 months ago, from what happened to Boog, from May 20th up until 6 months before May 20th, or a year before May 20th, Courtney would still be alive to this day. The system has dropped the ball on incarcerating those assailants. Mr. Williams is attached to 2 other murders. Mr. Kyson is attached to robberies, stealing cars, theft. I mean, Mr. McIntyre, all of their records are crazy to be their age. I'm surprised that none of them did no hard time. Really, I don't even see how they were still able to be walking around this time that happened to Courtney. Because if they'd have locked them young men up, Courtney would still be alive today. Today. Wasn't nobody after Boog like that. Only person who really had a really motive in this case would be the ex-MJ, Mr. KB, and allegedly Mr. Lockhart. But if you look at Mr. Lockhart's action, he's not in jail or in custody. He's not a suspect. MJ ain't in jail, KB ain't in jail. But them the only 3 people who knows exactly what happened in this case or could have played a part in this case. It ain't no mystery no more on who did it, why. It's all making sense to us now. So with that being said, I can't continue to go on any further at this moment with Courtney's story because I need more information on these things. I need Mr. McIntyre to get captured because at this point, I'm not just going to run her name or her story for no content. It's too much love. It's too much respect for Courtney. And if I can't cover it with dignity and respect and a lot of truth to her story, I'm not going to run it just for no content or no numbers. But at this point where we have came, I think we pretty much have came almost to an end with what happened to Courtney Bruce, what happened to Boog the Bandit. Because we loved her. She was loved all around the world. We refused to just let her be another headline. She did everything that anybody could possibly think to do right with their life. She used her pain and used it for fuel for success. Her passions, her pain paid her. And I tell y'all all the time, your pain is supposed to pay you. Courtney did exactly that. She put her mark down on the universe. She put her mark down on the world to a point where the city of Columbus is ready to give Courtney her own day and her own street name. That's legendary. If you could get your own street name and your own day to your city, you did everything right. That's the blueprint to success. She did everything right. Regardless of the trials and tribulations she had to go through. We ain't gonna talk about no past because we all have a past. We ain't gonna talk about no hustles because we don't knock no hustle over here. We don't knock no hustle. Just do what you gotta do to take care of your family and plant the right seeds where you can live your life in a way where you don't have to look over your shoulder or spend the rest of your life in a jail cell. Spend the rest of your life in a jail cell. So we want to get justice for Courtney. We will be back to cover this story. I learned a lot about myself with talking about Courtney Bruce. She inspired me in a lot of ways. It was so much covering Courtney's story that I didn't even know about her. I mean, everything people had to say about her was just nothing but inspiring and motivational. Anybody who been following me, who been covering this case, can understand why we had people in Kentucky telling us we said them, cause you said, what, Khalid? Run that back. You said in Kentucky. But she was loved. And at this point, it's like, I think it's to a point where Courtney is looking down at her family and her fans and at this whole situation. Like, okay, it's coming together. They showing me love, the whole world, all bloggers around the world. I mean, her story has ran rapid all around the world. Everybody knew who she was. Even up until the police catching these assailants and everybody that's involved. I don't know if y'all believe in the afterlife and stuff like that, but I do believe everybody is in the resting place until Judgment Day. I don't think, and this is just my opinion, I don't think when a person passes, they go strictly to heaven or hell. I think everybody sits in a resting place until Judgment Day. As a fan, I will never let Boog's music or memory die. Shout out Miss Core. Me either. I will remember Boog for the rest of my life, and I will always remember the story that happened. I will always remember her legacy that she left, and I will also remember what happened to her because it was so tragic. No female rapper, no female artist in our time has died the way that she died. This is something that don't happen to our women, our African American women in the industry. We may hear them maybe overdose on drugs, or come fall off in the industry, or we don't hear about our female rappers getting assaulted, pistol whipped, getting shot at, robbed. The way they did Boog, them boys gotta go to jail. They gotta go to jail, and justice has to get served because this was very, very overboard. We don't hear this in our communities. We don't hear this, not even just in the community around the world, about female rappers being done this way. Rest in peace, Alicia Morel, another female rapper who was tragically shot 5 times, moving out of her apartment with 5 kids, another female rapper. Justice and condolences to Alicia Morel family. Our female rappers and female artists are just becoming another storyline, and they just go on about their business like nobody cared about these girls. That like these ladies didn't have families and kids and people who love them. These is young legends. These are young legends. These is our sisters. These is our cousins. Some of them is mothers. And I hate the way that the media does our black women. I hate how they just dismiss their cases. I hate how it's just like we just so forgotten about. We've just forgotten about, and it bothers me. That's why I couldn't let Courtney's story. She is an icon. She is a legend. I'm not about to just stop and just let people put out what they want to put out about her because she was great. She was great. And like I told y'all, whether if Courtney did music or not, she still was going to reach success. Whether if it wasn't through music, modeling, her own business, everything Courtney touched, she turned into gold. Everything she touched turned gold. So whether if she did music or not, she was going to be set for the rest of her life. She was going to be successful. She was successful in her 20s. So just imagine if we would have had Courtney for another 5 years and 10 years, what she could have did for Ohio, what she could have did for the Midwest. She could have opened up so many doors for other female artists who don't want to twerk. Because for some reason, all the female artists just want to twerk, shake ass, have sex, and get drunk. Courtney was setting up a whole nother wave. It was a whole nother lane for her. Why people didn't want her to get over into that lane, we will never know. But behind envy and jealousy, watch the people you hang around. Covering Courtney's story most definitely opened my eyes up to the people around me. I'm telling y'all know I talk about this stuff all the time. These was people that she helped, people that she loved. Crossed her, unlocked the back door, let multiple people come on in. Look at Mr. KB, the best friend. Look at what he did to her, right? Unlocked the door. She linked up with the scoring decks, go to Miss Wanda's house, steal the pull a robbery. Look at the old best friend. Look at his action. This was somebody that Courtney loved, probably helped and everything else. Her family probably looked at him as like a brother too. Just like Mr. Lockhart. We don't know. But obviously it's some kind of relationship where people is really fighting hard for Mr. Lockhart truth. They are. They email me all the time. You don't know Cam and Boog. I know them. They was like brothers and sisters. I didn't have people try to confront me over Mr. Lockhart, Courtney's relationship because I was in the middle of it. I'm still in the middle of it with some certain stuff on Mr. Lockhart end, but I have to also go with the facts. And the facts is he's not in custody. We all find things very suspicious with all of these characters. But y'all keep Courtney's name alive. Y'all keep her memory alive. Shout out to the Bruce family, justice for them. And as of this moment, I'm going to let Courtney rest. Out of respect, not just for Courtney, but also for her family. I appreciate everybody coming in and giving me information on this case. And we will be back to visit this. If I get any groundbreaking information about Courtney Bruce's story, no, I will be back to visit it. If something break in 3 days or next week or 2 weeks with Mr. McIntyre and the connection and anything else happen with we gonna be back to visit this story. It's not over yet. Justice for Boog. Y'all use Boog as motivation. Use her story as inspiration. This a young icon. This is a young legend and will always be legendary in my book. Nobody can take that from me. They constantly jacked her style with the box braids, the way she dressed. It's so many people who tried to take Courtney's style, but don't want to give her credit because it was her. She was a trendsetter, blazing trendsetter. So many people just try to implicate her style, her lingo, the way she carried herself. She always stood out. She was always a star seed. Like I told y'all, YouTube or Google star seeds. Courtney most definitely was a star seed. Much love, y'all. Shout out to the pipeline. I'm out of here, y'all. Justice for Courtney. Feel free to email me, pipelinenews2020@gmail.com with any information you would want to talk about in Boog the Bandit's case. I'm open for any groundbreaking news. If anybody get locked up or something within these next few weeks or time, feel free to email me because this is a story we will come back and visit. Justice for Boog, y'all. Go to change.org, sign the petition to get her own date and her own street name. Hit the like button on your way out of here. Hit the subscribe and the notification bell. Until next time, y'all, thanks for the support. I'm gone.